Well, it's time for me to be honest. Everybody's talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, Utah Jazz, MVP talks. I'm going to talk about all those things. But let's start things off with the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers are going to be fine as long as Anthony Davis comes back fully healthy. But the truth of the matter is, LeBron James is 36 years old. It happened with Kobe. It's happening with LeBron James. People were on Kobe Bryant when the Los Angeles Lakers had a terrible team and they had Kobe Bryant. It was expecting all these great things for Kobe Bryant to get them to the playoffs and to, go deep in the playoffs or maybe even go to the finals. And then you have a great team around them. Same thing with LeBron James. We're seeing the same thing is true, that you can be great individually, but once you start getting up in age, you need players around you to go out and actually compete for a championship and really to help you carry the load going forward. Anthony Davis needs LeBron James. LeBron James needs Anthony Davis. It's that simple. They're not winning without each other. And the days of LeBron James in 2018 carrying a group of role players to the finals is over with. Now, maybe the playoffs, that's something different. Now, we talk about Anthony Davis. We talk about LeBron James. And to be honest, the issue with the Los Angeles Lakers is not when they're fully healthy, because when they're fully healthy, they are great. And they're going to be great this year. But I said this early in the beginning of the season, that this was the last year for this roster, regardless of the situation, if Anthony Davis ever got hurt or if Anthony Davis didn't get hurt. I felt that the problem with the Los Angeles Lakers is they don't have a third legit star or option. Having role players fill that role is okay for, when you win in a championship and it's basically just duos. You're going against the Clippers. You're going against the Golden State Warriors if Klay Thompson returns and Stephen Curry and stuff like that, or Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Like, when it's duos in the league, that's fine. But when you got a super team in Brooklyn and you got a team where on any given night on the basketball court, they're going to have 3 out of the 5 best players on the floor, you need a real third option. So the Los Angeles Lakers and Anthony Davis can come back healthy, and they can possibly win this year because the Brooklyn Nets don't really have a defensive formula and haven't really had a full off season to get the right pieces to pair around Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. But if they come back with this same team intact without a legit third option, and when I mean third option, I mean a bucket getter, a guy that can put the ball in the hoop, a guy that can score at will, a guy that can get you 20 to 25 points on any given night, regardless of, if Anthony Davis is hurt or if LeBron James is hurt, and they got still their 2-star players like we're seeing right now with the Kevin Durant being out with the COVID protocols and stuff like that, and James Harden and Kyrie Irving are balling. That's what the Los Angeles Lakers are going to need going forward. They're going to need a guy possibly like a Buddy Hield they may want to get, or a Zach LaVine, or somebody of that ilk that can be a third star that, regardless if one of your other key players get hurt, that you can still win on the consistent basis. And people are going to say Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder is a great player, but he's just a starter in this league. He's not that guy. He's not going to be your third option, for, a championship contender for every season. Like this year, it's okay. But even this year, Dennis Schroeder has been up and down. So it's just it's okay if they get a healthy Anthony Davis back because they have a lot of depth. But the following year, it's no way, because what's in Brooklyn is serious. And it's serious right now. The Brooklyn Nets may win it all this year without having some of the key pieces or having that full offseason, and they still may go out and win. So that's the real problem with the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, let's talk about the Utah Jazz. Everybody is saying the Utah Jazz is real. I'm here to tell you, I've seen Rudy Gobert and Jordan Clarkson in the playoffs before. And it hasn't been pretty, their playoff history. And as great as the Utah Jazz are playing, great ball movement, everybody shares the ball. Mike Conley is looking, better this year than he was last year. You're not winning a championship with your 2 best players being Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. And you're really not winning a championship with Rudy Gobert being your second best option, your second star on that team. He doesn't affect the game enough to be that type of player. He's a great defensive player that can score, get you 10 to 15 points per game. But other than that, that's in the playoffs, when things get serious and things get real, you need dudes that can really get their own and can be dominant on both sides on the floor. Or if not, just on the offensive side of the floor. If you can't be dominant on the offensive side of the floor, super dominant on the offensive side of the floor, you have to be dominant at least on both sides of the floor if you are a big man. And right now, he just only affects the game on the defensive side of the floor. And having Donovan Mitchell, have to carry that load in the playoffs is going to be hard. So No, I don't think the Jazz are a contender. I think they're a pretender. And to be honest, if let's say the Golden State Warriors were to be the eighth seed, or the Utah Jazz who had to play the Golden State Warriors, or the Dallas Mavericks in the first round, I'll probably pick the Dallas Mavericks or the Golden State Warriors. I wouldn't be shocked if they beat the Utah Jazz. That's how much of a pretender I believe that they are. For the MVP talks, that 5-5-5 narrative with LeBron James is out right now. When MVP, he shouldn't be in the MVP like conversations right now, because he had a chance to elevate, with Anthony Davis being out, and kind of rise to the occasion, show that he was the front runner in the MVP. But if they keep losing games right now, he's going to be out of that conversation. Now, he still can possibly go out if Anthony Davis comes back and win another Finals MVP, another championship. That's still a possibility. But the MVP is looking iffy right now. People are saying James Harden, and media is kind of just saying that because they had these expectations that it wasn't going to work with James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. So they was like, oh, now it's working. Let's put James Harden in these MVP conversations, when the purists and the guys that really know the game of basketball told you that it was going to work, of course. But I don't see James Harden winning the MVP because he has such a security blanket with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, even though Kevin Durant is out right now because due to COVID protocols. To me, the MVP has to be Joel Embiid so far. He has the #1 seed with the Philadelphia Sixers in the Eastern Conference. He's playing well, and he's been impacting the game on both sides. So that's how I feel about the Lakers. That's how I feel what's going on with the Lakers. That's how I feel about the Utah Jazz. And most important, the MVP right now has to be Joel Embiid, in my opinion.